one more round of applause for Houston. The Houston fans who came to this channel earlier in the year, we're very happy for you guys getting the division win. Not a wild card round.
Number 4 seed.
A division win when you came into this year with DeMeco Ryans, a rookie coach, CJ Stroud, a rookie quarterback. On the drive over here to record, I was just thinking, this Texans run this season is one of the most unbelievable things that I remember happening in the NFL in a long time. Just because, remember where we were at the start of the season? Like, they had nobody on paper that you were looking at going, yeah, that's someone I want on my team right now. Almost no one. And here they are now as division champions. Well, real quick, talk about this Texans-Colts game here. CJ Stroud has done a lot of amazing things this season, but the one thing he's done that has blown me away every time is he gets the job done when it matters most. He did it against the Falcons, even though they lost that game. Game-winning drive against the Bucs. Game-winning drive against the Bengals. And then what did he do with their back against the wall, playoff berth on the line against Indianapolis? 12-play, 73-yard drive, 7 minutes off the clock, 3 or 4 unbelievable throws. He goes 8 for 8 for 86 yards on the drive and scores the game-winning, what wound up being the game-winning touchdown. There aren't a lot of guys in the NFL that when everything matters, you want the ball in their hands. And CJ Stroud has done it time and time again this year.
Well, Mason Rudolph was one of them too.
Mason Rudolph,
but no, what really is incredible about that, it was an elimination game, if I'm not mistaken, right? Loser of that game was out. You're playing on the road. This quarterback's 22 years old. This is a team who had a win total of 4.5, 5.5. And we were saying all that these Texans fans should be hoping to see this season is just some bright spots from CJ Stroud. Look okay in certain games. Go over that win total. Have some promising starts, some promising drives. That's all you can really ask for. And here we are. Houston's the number 4 seed with a home game in the playoffs. In a game right now, I think they're a 1-point favorite. It's a pick'em. A game where many will expect them to win and play in the divisional round, which is unforeseen territory.
Beyond successful.
Yeah, beyond successful. Unforeseen territory, week 1.
Jeez.
Yeah, and I mean, one of the things that I think is really impressive about CJ Stroud is he overcame some pretty bad coaching in this game too, right? The coaches consistently, I found the game plan from the Texans really puzzling. I know they won the game, so good on them, but they were running the ball when it wasn't working. They kept taking the ball out of CJ Stroud's hands. On close 4th downs, they kept punting. But it doesn't matter, right? CJ Stroud's one of those players you only need to give him a few opportunities to capitalize. And I was thinking back on things, and maybe we shouldn't be all that surprised that the Texans went on a run. In the sense of, like, people seem to think it was impossible for this Texans team to get hot and get good. But when you've got a good quarterback in the NFL, anything can happen. And we've seen, I think, teams going into the draft next year going to look at the Texans' success case, where if you hit on your rookie quarterback and he's good from the beginning, you don't need a whole lot else around him. I get that they've got Nico Collins. I get they've got DeMeco Ryans coaching a decent defense. But this was all CJ Stroud.
Well, yeah, you're right that the quarterback can elevate everyone around you too, where I'm not sure. I think Nico Collins is a good receiver. Tank Dell, talented receiver. I don't know how good they are on another team with a quarterback who's closer to average than superstar. Maybe they are still very good. But look at what the Texans did in this game without their number 1 receiver too. Like, Nico Collins went 9 receptions, 195 yards and a touchdown. Noah Brown, I don't believe he played either. So you're already backs against the wall in terms of who you had to throw out against Indy. And I just thought from the opening throw of the game for Stroud, 75-yard touchdown, it's like, okay, this moment is certainly not too big for him. And he finished the game 20 for 26, 264 yards, 134 passer rating. It's like, that's what we said when we were talking about the game. What would it come down to? Well, in the Gardner Minshew versus CJ Stroud category, I think all of us were on the same page when we said we're going with the superstar quarterback here. And then when you look on the side for Indianapolis, it was a game of just being oh so close for them. The missed field goal off the goal post. Moali Cox, remember, I think you were in my basement at the time watching the game, Jack. Cox run down the field, and Minshew just puts it a couple yards out of reach.
Yeah, wide open, yeah.
Yeah, wide open. And then, of course, the play everyone's talking about with Goodson at the very end, dropping what would have been a first down to continue that drive. Perplexing to me to take out Jonathan Taylor on that play. I understand that the play worked, but still, it was unfortunate for Indianapolis, who was just right there and couldn't get the job done.
And it's such a shame too, because the Colts were a team kind of similar to the Steelers to end the year. I was kind of writing them off. That they were lurking around 500, then came out of nowhere, playing some decent football, beating teams they had to beat down the stretch, and all of a sudden you have a game at home in prime time against a division rival and a young team for a chance to go to the playoffs, and you get down to the red zone and you can't get it done. I felt bad for him. I want to see Gardner Minshew in the playoffs. I want to see Mr. Mustache in there, but I guess it's good for our channel that Stroud got in.
Yeah, I mean, I think basically everyone except Colts fans wanted to see what CJ Stroud and this Texans team can do. It's good that CJ Stroud's getting his experience, but also if you're a Colts fan, I don't think you've got a lot to worry about with Anthony Richardson in next year. It's clear Shane Steichen knows what he's doing.
Yeah,
he took a team that had low expectations, crushed the win total, almost took them to the playoffs. Again, his play calling worked. So I don't think there's a lot to be worried about. If you're a Colts fan, you're probably in good hands. It's just disappointing. For me, this whole season, now that they didn't make the playoffs, it's a big disappointment we couldn't see what Anthony Richardson was able to do. But that'll be for next year.
Yeah, we've talked about that too.
We were talking about the Colts when Richardson went down. This is a team that we were super iffy on and had very low expectations. Like,
I wasn't iffy. I wrote him off.
Yeah, right. It's like, can Gardner Minshew lead a team to the postseason? We were like, probably not. And here they are with a home game with a chance to do so. They finished the 9-8 record, correct?
Well, yeah, but here they were 3rd and 1 from the 15-yard line. Inside the 15-yard line, Jonathan Taylor's gone for 188 yards in the game, and they can't pick up 1 yard to continue that drive where you're just right on the doorstep of, I mean, 1 or 2 plays go a different way. And we're sitting here talking about Gardner Minshew being a division champion, hosting the Browns next weekend. Like, it's so close, these games. There's always one or two things. The
drop was so bad.
The drop was tough. I mean, the ball was a little bit behind him, but you still got to come down with that. You see the reaction in the crowd, and anyone who's a sports fan, you've been there before with your team where it's just heartbreaking. And I thought it was really funny watching that one Texans fan. Did you see when they cut to the Colts crowd? Every single Colts fan's devastated. You see the one Texans fan going crazy? I mean, that's the dream on the road, is that you're able to celebrate like that.
Oh, and I'm in Arrowhead this Saturday night.
You'll be in Arrowhead, and then you'll be up in Baltimore.
Then I'll be in Miami.
Yeah, then Miami for the championship.
And we'll look at the Texans and their playoff matchup later in the week, but I'll say this much. I think that them winning the division again next year, absolutely not out of the question after what we just saw from Jacksonville.
Oh, yeah, the Jacksonville loss. We're going to get to that in just a second. Let me ask you real quick, Ziggy, and we're going to do a bigger breakdown on Browns-Texans. But right now, when you guys, the first thought on that matchup, which way are you leaning?
Well, it's interesting because you got the wise man and Joe Flacco, where if he messed up in high school, he could be CJ Stroud's father. Versus these young guns, and we just saw this matchup a couple weeks back. No CJ Stroud, and we saw what that Browns defense was able to do. And then you got CJ Stroud back. I do like the Houston Texans at home in that revenge spot with their starting quarterback healthy to advance.
How about you, Ziggy?
Yeah, I totally agree. Setting aside, again, the game where CJ Stroud is out, this Browns team has been much better at home than on the road. I think the Joe Flacco magic is going to run out eventually. And as much as I really want to see like the Joe Flacco Baltimore matchup, I think the Texans are going to win that one pretty handily.
I'm with you guys. I'm leaning Houston right now because the whole Flacco story, I think, is phenomenal. It's been so much fun to watch. But yeah, it just feels like that's a ticking time bomb for when that offense is going to blow up one day. I think it's going to come down to the defensive lines, who's able to put more pressure on the quarterback in that game, make Flacco make mistakes, because he will if you get after him. But then when you say that, it's hard not to look over at Cleveland and Myles Garrett and Zadarius Smith and those monsters that they have being able to shut down Stroud. So I need to put a little more thought. At the moment, though, I'm leaning Houston because they're at home and because maybe I am getting caught up in the Stroud hype. But that's going to be one of the most fun games of the week.
I'm also dead serious when I say this. I think when CJ Stroud watches Michigan win the chip in his own stadium, a super big fire will be lit under his ass.
Really?
Yes. And he'll win that game against the Browns. I'm dead serious when I say that.
I mean, maybe that's the analysis that you bring to the table that most people don't.
And they'll beat the Browns.
Okay. All right. So Texans fans, congratulations.
So he's like, shut up.
Unbelievable game. Unbelievable win to be in the playoffs. And Zach, by the way, kudos to you on the Texans prediction.
Yes.
D'Amico Ryan's coach of the year?
Yes.
No.
Gotta be. It's gotta be.
No, he's not winning coach of the year.
Mike Tomlin?
Stefanski's winning coach of the year.
There are a lot of great candidates this year.
How?
I mean, because he started 5 quarterbacks and won 11 games.
And they started
Every single important
the
player
worst.
on the team, every single important player on the Browns has gotten hurt this year at one point or another. Most of them with season-ending injuries. And in arguably the toughest division in football, they won 11 games and made the playoffs. You realize who this guy? Like the Texans missed CJ Stroud for like 3 or 4 games, and everyone's whining.
Hey, no Tank
Yeah, but
Dell.
those 3 or 4 games that he was out.
It's close. Who else is in there? Is Dan Campbell still in the race?
Mike Tomlin?
Those are
Maybe not as much.
there's a 2 coach race.
It is Stefanski's.
I don't know. Coach of the year is a stupid award.
How about O'Connell?
Oh,
Like everyone knows who coach of the year should go
How about
to.
LaFleur?
D'Amico.
No.
okay.
It
we'll be
goes to
quicker.
Shanahan every single time. I'm just saying.